Hey guys, September 15th, 2025, here with your after hours recap. Before we kind of run through what happened today, it's just good to remember Wednesday we do have a rate cut decision. I don't think that that's actually going to really determine the direction of the market. Underlying market right now is very strong. I kind of expect that to stay true over the remainder of the year. It just seems like the expectation with how well things are acting. With that said, though, I don't know what the short term direction will look like. I know a bunch of stocks, and we can run through some of them, are starting to get pretty extended. Names like MU, STX, SNDK, even Google is making quite the charge. We'll run through some of those names momentarily, but again, just kind of back of mind on Wednesday, rate cut decision. I'm of the expectation that we get a quarter point cut, and what happens from there. I don't really know. My portfolio continues to act well, so that's really nice, and I can't argue with it. I'm just going to let my names work. And the cards will kind of fall where they will. Tomorrow, if a few of my names push a little bit more, there's a chance that I do peel off small pieces, and then we'll just take it kind of one day at a time. I don't know if on Wednesday we ramp on the news for the rate cut, and then Thursday we sell off, or if Wednesday we sell off and then Thursday we pick right back up. Typically, the initial move is not the first move. Sometimes you get a push and then it fails, and then you reclaim. Sometimes you kind of get a fail and then a push and then you fail again the next day. So I don't know. I really don't want to guess. The fact of the matter is that names are working really well. Clean setups continue to push, and that is the most important part. With that said, we could just go ahead and take a quick look at Tesla. He did have a gap up that Elon bought $1 billion worth of Tesla, I think, on Friday. And, you get the pretty big ramp up. And it was kind of to be expected, right? 3 massive days in a row. It still finished up 3.5%, which is a really big day still. And then, obviously, a bit of a sell-off intraday. Not totally unexpected. Google continues to be an absolute monster from the gap up. The judge said that they didn't have to sell their Google Chrome ever since then, just really accelerating higher, after already being in a pretty nice trend before that. Oracle maybe trying to find some support at the rising 5-day. I'm still not somebody who would like to buy Oracle. I mean, this could be considered a pullback setup. So, maybe if this thing gets going over $308 tomorrow, that could be fairly interesting. Hood with just a tiny bit of weakness today. I don't think it's doing anything wrong, right? It's just pulling back into ascending moving averages, kind of building out a new base. MU is one of those names that is getting a little bit extended. I thought it was good, not last Thursday, but the prior Thursday before that, right around $120, and you could just see how quickly this thing is ramping, and it's ramping big time with STX. If 7% move after a vertical move like this wasn't enough on a big pickup in volume. So, you get another day like this tomorrow. I would kind of, start to be done with this position completely, just, based on how extended it is. SNDK is another one of these. WDC is another one. Again, the group is acting really well. If you're long it, congratulations. But, you start to get these big pickup in volumes after this really, kind of longer extended move without a bigger base. Yeah, I would just be a little bit more on the cautious side up here. Definitely don't, start to engage in brand new positions on these things up here. Definitely not the brightest of ideas. And really, it's just been a nice push, right? Yeah, IONQ breaking out of a big base. That's nice to see. And some continuation today. SoFi saw some new highs today. NBIS looks like it's potentially setting up. ANET also is looking really good. Just a pullback off of the high volume close, bounced cleanly right at that 138 level. Pinduo Duo started to pick up just a little bit today, one that I am long. The banking names are continuing to look well. Iron with some continuation. Just fantastic move for this thing. Rocket Lab, they did have an offering in after hours, but again, this one was looking at a new all-time high before an offering. Reddit with some continuation. So just really everywhere you looked, and Uber being another one, into new highs as well. Just really nice to see, and even gapping up just a little bit in after hours. So pretty much everywhere you looked, stocks were acting well. You had something with Nvidia going on in the morning. I forget exactly what China said about them, but that did cause a bit of a gap down. But it's just such a strong market. They get bought right back up and even go green for momentarily. So they finished effectively flat down 7 cents, and the chart's actually looking really constructive, right? You just get an undercut of the 50, a reclaim, you start to retighten, right? There's just nothing to complain about that is going on out here. Palantir, little bit of a breather today. Again, nothing wrong, down 22 cents. Actually looks pretty good. One that I own as well, for some potential continuation as soon as tomorrow. I want to caution you guys, or anybody, about opening up too much exposure tomorrow. You might not have enough cushion on it to be able to hold it through FOMC. You might just have to micromanage a position, and that is no good. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. OKLO, one that I own as well. I did lighten up on the position today. You had some nuclear news, and you had a really nice push on this thing. So I went ahead, day 3, took a little piece off, a third of my position, and for now I'm just letting it work. CCJ, another one that I own. Really nice that this is also gapping up a bit overnight. But I bought this thing on 9.9, did not get stopped out of my position. Was just using the 50-day effectively as my stop, and a huge ramp up and a breakout today on some good continued news. We'll see if this thing can push some more tomorrow, but really no opinion as to what's going to happen. It is just nice to continuously find yourself in stocks that are working. And again, it's not because I'm such a genius. It's because the market's healthy, and I'm at least focused on stocks in strong sectors that have just been digesting and coming out of those consolidations. So that's half the battle. ARC is another one of these. Just closed well. New 52-week high for this name. Acting absolutely fantastic. I mean, I see nothing wrong with ARC here. It does look like it wants to go higher, but again, Wednesday's going to make a big difference if things can continue or not. MP, another name that I own. Nice job today, kind of separating itself off of its 50-day. We'll see tomorrow if it wants to reclaim its 20. If it does, maybe I add on a little bit more to this position, and this one can continue to ramp higher. AAOI I bought as well, and this thing closed very well. Just nice pickup in volume every time this thing is pushing higher. So that is nice to see. So yeah, ultimately, I think the market's, acting well here. Even home builders just, kind of continuously pulling back into their ascending 20. I did go ahead and cut ETHU today. Did not like the way this thing was acting. Took a tiny little loss on it. I had a 159 average on it. I took a little loss on it around $156. No real harm. I also had an even smaller position on XXRP, and this thing gapped down as well. And then in the morning, when it was just consolidating here and started to break down, I just let it go. So not really going to argue with stocks if they're not pushing higher, right? I don't want to stay married to them. Ethereum positioning is once again back to super, super crowded levels. So I kind of want to be a little bit more thoughtful with, owning things that everybody already owns. And yeah, so that's kind of my thinking here. I don't think anything is wrong with the market. Banks continue to act well. Semiconductors continue to act well. Some of these computer hardware names, if I'm not mistaken, which is what like a WDC is, they're like memory storage or what have you, something like MU, continue to act great, but nothing to chase here. In fact, I would, if they give another really big update tomorrow, and then on Wednesday the market gets a little bit shaky, those are the names that I would consider on the possible short side, or really food stocks, as they are potentially breaking down, really a lot of them. And I don't want to be a Debbie Downer for Mickey D's, but McDonald's, Cake, Shack, Eat, Chipotle, these names just look absolutely. They did have a announcement of a buyback, but I would not be buying this kind of a stock on an announcement of a buyback. you're well underneath the 200, and the food stocks are acting really, really poor. So there are still stocks out there that look interesting. I thought Uber today looked pretty interesting. I thought AOI today looked pretty interesting, and both of those went on to work. But again, a lot of it has to do with environment. When you're trading in a really hot environment, it seems like everything works. Focus on stocks with the least amount of overhead supply. Those tend to work even better. So yeah, that's just kind of my thinking here. I don't plan on getting too aggressive in the market. Gold, new all-time high again today. The silver miners, in particular the juniors, are really starting to take off. Hecla, probably my favorite of the bunch. I used to own this name down at $5 way back, in 2022. I actually want to say during some of this chopping nonsense. And now, they're the United States' largest silver miner, and finally getting the love this thing deserves. Awesome to see. I do not own it, but gold, silver acting well. Crude oil hanging in there. Semiconductors, banks hanging in there really well. So yeah, I mean, it's just a bull market, and a damn strong one. So grab the bull by the horns. Be patient. Continue to look for stocks near their highs. And take it, one setup and one day at a time. Like I said, Wednesday is important. So for me, tomorrow it's just probably manage what you own, and then go into Wednesday and try to figure out, if the market's going to sell off for a few days, or if it's just going to continue. Everybody's making a really big deal about the potential rate cut. This isn't the first rate cut we've had. It's just been a while since we've had a rate cut. So I think the market's going to take it fairly well. Companies' earnings continue to look pretty good, and then leaders continue to lead. So it just seems hard to me that you're going to take down a market when semiconductors and banks are hanging out as well as they are, and when mega caps are starting to pick back up, like Microsoft, like Google, like Tesla. Apple continues to hang in there pretty well. Nvidia doesn't look all that bad. So I'm not going to complain about the environment. It is a damn strong one. So anyway, hopefully this video finds you guys well. I will see you guys all bright and early for pre-market prep, or I will see you guys in the room right before the open. Cheers.